My name is Andrew Betwain. I'm the managing editor of insuranceinvestor.com. And today I'm joined by Hetal Patel, who is the head of climate investment risk at Phoenix Group. Hetal, hello, how are you?
Great. Very well, thank you, Andrew. And thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. So Hetal will be speaking at our Investor Live conference in November in London. He will be on a panel discussion on the climate change sort of world that we're in and what we need to do in the insurance industry. So he will be discussing rising to the net zero challenge. So it's a big, broad topic with a lot to discuss and a lot of angles to get through. So I want to start off with you, Hetal, on quite a broad question, which is how does net zero build into the wider climate change goals in the insurance investment sphere?
Really good question, Andrew. Well, look, if I step back for a second, ultimately, we're here managing money for our policyholders and our shareholders, and we owe them a duty to generate the optimal possible risk and return in their portfolios. And so climate, really, we see it as an important systemic risk now. And so net zero really for us is a target, an anchor, a framework for us to think about that risk. And so for us, really, we think about this about managing risk and return. But at the same time, clearly as asset owners, as a large asset owner, where we can, we want to put capital to good use. And so for us, it's thinking about both things. Both things are very important to us.
So it's an area where there's a lot of change and a lot of good to be done. So can you talk us through the current decarbonisation strategies and goals in the wider investment market, not just your own companies or those you see, but everything that you're seeing and what's getting you excited?
Well, really, there's three pillars to net zero. There's taking your investment portfolios and finding ways to smartly decarbonize them. Then second, becoming a more active asset owner, engaging asset owner, working with the companies that you invest with, encourage them to adopt better practices, encourage themselves to set decarbonization targets. And thirdly, funding some of those things that are going to lead to the climate solutions, the potential, carbon capture, storage of tomorrow. So all three things are important ingredients to hitting that net zero target.
So we've got the sort of the broad sphere of where we want to go, but where are we? So what are the key facets in the net zero financial sphere that have occurred in 2022? And what have they changed, and what will we see next?
Well, I think it's fair to say that everybody has started on the journey now, so that people have made their high-level ambition. They've set their net zero targets. They've also, I think it's fair to say, we and some of our peers have already set out some other interim targets. And people have started disclosing some of their plans through their climate reports, their TCFD reports, some of the strategies that they plan to adopt. And so now I'd say we're almost into phase two, where you start really setting out your stall, some of the more detailed plans. And so now people have started to think about transition plans. So actually putting formal documents in place, which really set out the actions, the levers, the kind of trade-offs that they're going to have to think about as part of navigating their way through this journey.
So lots there to think about, and I wanted to sort of finish off with us with the slightly more granular idea of how can insurance and investment managers, how can the community overcome any of the barriers that are cropping up to net zero, such as underinvestment in climate solutions that we often see?
Really good question, Andrew. I think everybody wants to fund us to put as much capital as they possibly can in terms of helping address the challenge, finding opportunities. But we go back down to the basics that really, when you put money to work, you think about what return you're earning on that investment, what's the risk associated with it, and the reality is that there are few opportunities at the moment, lots of money chasing the same opportunity, and returns aren't particularly great. And so what sort of things would I like to see to help encourage the flow of capital and to make these investments more attractive? Certainly, certain policy initiatives. Well, we have the taxonomy coming into place soon, so better classification of opportunities. I'd like to see there potentially be a change in the capital regime where potentially there'd be more preferential capital treatment for these sorts of investments, which would then help address some of that risk return balance. And also, I suppose I'd also like to see there be a bit more softer encouragement as well. That a bit more direction from policymakers in terms of fiduciary duties about how we think about risk and how we address the balance between potential trade-offs between short-term risk and return, and the longer-term systemic risk and return.
There's a real mix of carrot and stick there when you mentioned about the fiduciary duties. So if you found what Hetal was just saying was interesting, and it really was to me, so I'm sure you all found it too interesting too, he can be heard at our Insurance Investor Live Europe conference on November the 3rd in London, where we'll be speaking about the net zero challenges. So that all remains now for me is to say thank you, Hetal, for your time today. And that's all from me, Andrew Twain, the managing editor of insuranceinvestor.com. So please do visit the site to find out more. Thank you very much.